Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today to talk about a arrest that was made yesterday and a search. It's an ongoing event that we've been investigating, and what we've been able to find out is that we had a human trafficking situation that's going on, or was going on right here in Guilford County. There was 2 potential victims of the human trafficking, and I would refer you to a executive summary that was put out by the Polaris Project, and you can find this at polarisproject.org/massage-parlor-trafficking. And I'll give you that later as we go through it, so you can do some research on that. Basically what they're telling us is these 2 victims in this case are both, and what we found are both Chinese nationals. Both are in the country legally. One is a 33-year-old and one is a 46-year-old. And they were transported across state lines for the purpose of, we feel, prostitution. Our thanks go out to the World Relief Triad, which helped us in interviewing these potential victims, as well as in translation and different items that we were in. Also to Weaver Investment Company, who was very helpful in us, who owned the building where this massage parlor was set up. As you can see by the photos that we provided you up here, this is the location that was in Stony Creek. This is the living conditions that we had that these women were being involved with. The cooking area, the washing area, as you see, the bedroom area for them while they stayed there. They had no forms of communication, like cell phones or anything like that. This is the lady that was arrested. The World Relief Triad provided us, both victims, with extensive list of resources and existence options. World Relief Triad is a faith-based organization that works to combat human trafficking in our communities. And we were working with the Guilford County Zoning Department to enforce any zoning regulations, and we were working with the North Carolina Board of Massage and Bodywork Therapy to enforce any violations of the practice or acts involved with massage parlors. And again, we are working with Weaver Investment, who are in the process of evicting these folks. According to the Polaris Project, which I gave you the reference to, there are more than 9,000 illicit massage parlor businesses are open for business in America. In strip malls, sides of the highways, and different commercial strips in every state. The total revenue is estimated to be $2.5 billion annually. And this is done on the backs of victims, we feel, who are into this, pushed into this trade and are being victimized by it. There have been multiple complaints from the community on this about prostitution, and search warrants were served on 5/3/18 at the following locations: the Stony Creek Spa and Skin Care Center, located at 94/B Golf House Road West in Whitsett, and a residence at 503 Simberry Glen Court in Cary, which is a very, very nice residence. One suspect has been arrested so far, and I'm going to spell the first name because, to be quite frank with you, I can't pronounce it. The first name of the person is Lixiang Chen, with a date of birth of 11/8/65 of Flushing, New York. She is a naturalized U.S. citizen. She is 52 years old. Charges are 2 felony counts of promoting prostitution, 1 felony count of continuing criminal enterprise, and currently she is in the Guilford County Jail under a $100,000 bond. We also seized over $30,000 in cash and 3 vehicles: a 2014 Toyota Highlander, a 2004 Lexus RX 330, and a 2015 BMW 428i. These were seized in relation to the continuing criminal enterprise charge. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions that we can. I will tell you that this is an ongoing investigation. There will probably be additional charges, and this is not the end of what we're going to be doing here in Guilford County. This is not the kind of business that we want operating here in Guilford County, and one that is illegal and has victims that we want to try to protect. Any questions?
Yeah, can you give those more details about the victims? I think you mentioned one of their age, gender of the victims.
Because they are victims and because of the status of the investigation, we're not going to be giving any further information on them at this time. But we have offered them resources and to try to help them through this situation.
You said you received multiple complaints from the community over in the Stony Creek, Whitsett area. Is
Yes.
that what initially tipped you off?
Yes.
Do we know if she's the only suspect right now, or will there be further arrest?
As you heard me say, we haven't. There'll probably be additional arrests before this is all over.
So those living quarters, that was in that spot, or was that at that house?
That was in the business. That was in the business, and it should not have been. That is a violation of fire codes and everything else. But yes, that was in the business. This was what they had to live in when they weren't working, and they were expected to work, and there was work. And that's another message, I guess, that we're sending out too. I mean, you know, these ladies are truly victims in the fact that they're being used, and it's in the sex trade. That's what it comes down to.
And now you said that one of them was a U.S. citizen, a naturalized citizen, the victim?
The person who's arrested
Yes.
is a naturalized citizen.
Yes.
The other people are in the process. Yes.
What are you guys doing to prevent something like this from happening again?
What
Are you doing anything to prevent something
We're
like
calling
this?
you and telling you we put these people under arrest and we're going to continue doing it. We get complaints, we respond to them. We look at these type of things. This is a worldwide problem. And in the United States, as you just heard me say, what the Polaris study, the executive study, 9,000 businesses like this across the way. I mean, you know, that's really ridiculous. And a $2.5 billion business. I mean, this is people being used and abused, basically.
Sheriff Martin, you know, other sheriffs in the area, Alamance County, are also seeing sex trafficking going on in their areas, and a lot of them say that interstates have a lot to do with it. The Triad, just it's easy access for people to be transported. Is that what you're seeing as well here?
These victims were not from here. They did not enter the United States from here. They were brought across state lines to make this happen.
What are the chances of other businesses just like this going on right now in the area, right now?
The chances that it's going on other places other than here, great. In fact, I would say they definitely are. Yes?
How long did it take you to follow up on complaints versus now the arrest?
How long? We're not releasing that information because it may impact some other investigations that we're doing right here also.
Not sure if you mentioned it. Is the business still running, or they're shut down?
They're shut down for all practical purposes. The Weaver Foundation group, investment group, who helped us with this, are in the process of getting conviction papers to deliver right home. This is not the kind of business that they want or anybody really wants in their area. Problem of it is they had no idea this was going on. They thought that this was a legitimate business.
On the front side of it, was it legitimate? I mean, could people go there and get regular spa treatments? And then, you know, obviously they were doing this in the meantime, but.
Yeah, you could go in, and they had an entry fee that when you went in for a normal, and then if you wanted the extras, you paid extra. So that was the thing. You had an entry fee, and then after that, the others would be extra.
I'm sorry if you already said this, or if you can't say it, but when did you receive the complaints?
As I just mentioned before, we're not getting into when they came in and what we've been doing, because there's other cases that are involved.
Okay, well, I do have two other questions, I guess. When he asked us now if you thought this was going on, were you referring to, you think it's going on in Guilford County right now?
No, I think it's going on all across the United States. There's 9,000 different massage parlors out there. So.
And you know, my question is, what do you think what do you think the message of the Sheriff's Department is? Let me rephrase it. What message do you think this investigation sends to the community from the sheriff's
I'm
office.
hoping with you guys' help, it's going to send the information that if you've got complaints, if there's issues like this out there, let us know about them, and we'll look into them. And we'll try to follow it to its conclusion, which in this particular case is somebody going to jail, property being taken away. We don't want this kind of activity, because this kind of activity breeds additional crimes in the area, and that's not where we are. That's not what we try to do. Thank you for asking that.
So now you said you mentioned there definitely was business. Now in this case, you're treating them as victims, but the people, I guess, for going about that business, have there been any arrests on that end? People who are going to this place?
You're talking about the people using it?
Yes.
There's going to be some additional conversation, let's say. We've identified the folks that are going into the things that are happening there, and we've sent undercover into these situations, and they have been approached and offered these services.
Lastly, as a sheriff's department, for victims who may be watching and they're in fear and they're scared and they don't know how to speak up, what would your advice be to them?
With who doesn't know how to speak up?
For victims, let's say, who end up watching this.
Any victim that's in this type of situation, in this particular situation, these ladies that we're talking about, were not citizens. They're here legally, but they're not citizens, and they're being used and abused. There is help out there, and we can get them help and get them out of that situation. And that is, thank you for asking that. That World Relief group is exactly the ones that help do that. And we're so pleased to be partnered with them and continue to be partnered with them. They provide us, for example, translators that we were able to use, and they provide us resources that we don't have that we can use. Any other questions? Guys, thank you for covering this. If you want to slip to the next thing now, are you ready for that?
Oh, 1 second, yes.
All right, as I said again, my friend, former Congressman Howard Cole, used to call this election season the silly season. Basically what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen, we normally don't handle business like this. We would put out a news release if needed to be. We tragically had a death in our jail. That death that occurred, my condolences go out to the family. We always hate for anyone to pass away, especially someone who is in our care. But in this particular case, because of HIPAA regulations and everything, I can't tell you the medical aspects that go with it, but I can give you certain information. Mr. Tara Lachelle Thomas was arrested by the Greensboro Police Department and booked into the Greensboro Detention Center on April 29, 2018 on charges including possession of controlled substance and a parole violation. Ms. Thomas was pronounced deceased at the detention center in the early morning hours of May 3, 2018 after efforts to resuscitate her were unsuccessful. The Guilford County Sheriff's Office took the following actions in response to this situation. The detention staff rendered aid to Ms. Thomas. The detention staff called EMS to provide medical assistance to Ms. Thomas. The detention staff notified and summoned the medical examiner, as is required by law, to the detention center after the resuscitative efforts were unsuccessful. The detention staff assigned a detective to immediately commence an investigation into the cause of Ms. Thomas's death, which again is protocol and what we do every single time. We also, the detention staff accompanied by the jail chaplain, personally visited Ms. Thomas's family to provide notification of her death. And again, as required by state law, the Guilford County Sheriff's Office notified state officials with the Department of Health and Human Services in compliance with that state law. At this point, the circumstances surrounding Ms. Thomas's death are not deemed suspicious in any manner. The sheriff's detective is, however, going to continue the investigation, as again is protocol. The Guilford County Sheriff's Office is cooperating with state officials from North Carolina, as we always do, from the Department of Health and Human Services, and we are awaiting the report of the medical examiner. In order to comply with the HIPAA medical privacy requirements to protect the family right to privacy and to protect the integrity of the detective's ongoing investigation. The Sheriff's Office is unable to release further information at this time. To the extent fully permitted by the HIPAA statute, we will make any release available when it's completed. Is there any questions about any of that we've covered? And again, our condolences go out to the family. This is not something that I got the call in the early morning telling me what had happened. My staff is always upset and distraught about this, but folks, to be quite frank with you, we handled it very professionally in the way that we've always handled it and always will. Yes, ma'am.
May you spell the name of the person?
We're going to give you a copy of the news release that's sent out. This is, but I will spell her name for you. It's Tasharra. Middle name Lachelle, Lachelle. Last name Thomas. Normal spelling Thomas. And they have it right there for you at this time. So you pick up one. Anything else?
Can I ask one more about the trafficking?
Yeah, oh, sure, really.
Sorry, I think it's what were some of the signs that people were calling in about? Were it just the same people going to this spa? Are you allowed to say, they kept seeing such and such? You said the community reached out.
There was a lot of traffic that was coming in, but to be honest with you, a lot of the complaints on things like this usually come from spouses who find out. And spouses ain't happy, and when mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And in this particular case, the spouses may well be the end of this type thing. I'll be honest with you, many, many years ago, I worked this same type case. In fact, it was a 4-state prostitution ring that I was able to bust up as a detective and undercover officer myself when I was a deputy sheriff. And that was a spouse that broke that case open, who found out that her husband was having a happy ending that she wasn't happy about. So, anything else? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Any way we can help you, please let us know. And you're welcome to take some pleasure pictures of these. I was going to try to save y'all a trip by getting a picture of the storefront so you didn't have to go all the way to Whitsett.